Actually, it's quite difficult to start. That is why I'm a little waiting. The name of the, I've named it Understanding. What it actually means to understand. That is the topic, that is the exploration that I want to do together. And I've been on this from almost 1991. So maybe most of you must have not been born then, 1991 or somewhere around that time. So, and even now I'm still on the journey. So this is only almost like a process of initiation, that can either challenge you or make you defendant. You could just defend everything that I know, that you don't want to let anything enter, or you can be open and well, even the choice is not yours. It happens sometimes, either way. So let me just but please be with me, flow with me, and try. I will ask you to do certain things. Please do that, and honestly let me know what is happening within you. Okay, now for a minute, just close your eyes and imagine the earth. And close your eyes and imagine the earth. Bring it in. All right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine then. Now, let me ask you, open your eyes now. Home hasn't come yet. Okay. Okay. Now, how many of you saw an image instead of a three-dimensional object? Did anybody see an image? Photograph of the earth. Okay. 2 of you saw photograph. All right. Good. And all right. For the other people, let me know what is the size of the earth that you saw. Show with your, if you can show with your hands. What size? All right. Kamala, you saw this much. Home. All right. Shan. All right. Home. What is the size that you saw?
I don't really know.
Janet, did you do this?
Yes.
What is the size that you got?
I can't show with my hands.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Nirmal, what did you see? How much did you see? How big?
The more picture came to my mind is the trees.
Picture?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now, so let me also take you through another process. As an example, I will tell you an example and you have to imagine on your own what is the, I'm talking about traveling from north to south and south to north. For example, in India, if you know the Indian map, Kerala, like Sri Lanka is down, right? And Nepal is up, Delhi is up. So imagine that you are traveling from Nepal to Kerala, which is, or Nepal to Sri Lanka, or from Sri Lanka to Nepal, all right? So imagine a similar situation with respect to your own countries. For example, in Malaysia, it could be from Penang to Kuala Lumpur, I don't know. Where you are located in the south to go into north, or from north go into south. Are you getting my point? Just imagine that. All right, you imagined. That is from traveling from south of your country to north of your country, and from north of the country to south of the country. Got it? Okay. Now, when you're imagining that, how many are you feeling that when you're going to north, you're going up, and when you're going to south, you're going down? Is that the way you are getting the image?
No.
All right. For Ray, what did happen?
I couldn't see that often because it's more of like me traveling already. So, as you travel, it's all on, the first person perspective.
Okay. And sister Janet, what did you see? What was your imagination?
According to me, like Just going fast from green, less green, in between more green, so that color.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. Where are you from?
Kerala.
Ha. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So now I will take you through one more small process. Please bear with me. You have to, it's an activity. All right. Now, do you remember drawing mango in your childhood? Mango? Can you please draw it for me? Draw a mango. Just draw a mango. Show it near the camera like this, then I can. All right, I saw yours. Yeah, okay, I saw Marine. Yeah. Yeah, I saw Kamala's. I saw. Rick, can you show? Okay, you're still drawing, no problem. How can you show me the? No, it's not seen. I think that if you can. Yeah. All right, you're right. Can you show, sister? No, I didn't see her. All right, okay, I saw. All right, okay. Home? Okay. All right. Yeah, I saw. Thank you. I'll explain all this later, but let's just do. Hey, Shans, just show me once again. Shans, I missed it. Okay, good. All right. Okay. 3. So we did 3 exercises. I wanted to do one more. Now, you write tree. Tree, write tree. Tree. Okay. And all right, now draw a tree. Draw a tree. Yeah, you don't have to show me this. Just draw a tree, and okay. Once everyone is over, we have one more task. Done? Arun, I didn't see the mango that you drew. Arun, can you? Okay. All right. Okay. I saw. All right. Okay. Now the tree is also drawn. All of you?
Yes.
Okay. Now, next thing that you to do in the next, it's a 10-minute or a 5-minute kind of an activity. You go out, find a tree, sit and draw and come back. All right. You could take 7 minutes. 7 minutes. Take 7 minutes. Look at the tree, observe, draw, and come back. We will meet in exact. It is 9:32 here, so we'll meet at exactly 9:40. Is that okay? 9:40. I don't know your time. My time is. So I've taken 7 minutes. Okay, please come back after 7 minutes and we'll meet. I hope there are trees nearby. Nirmal, only you need to look back only.
Yeah, I have trees just in front of me, so I'll just take the advantage from here.
Okay, yeah. All right, I hope everybody is back. Yeah, okay. Now, let's look at all the different activities that we did. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry. No, I don't want to, I don't want to see it. Now I will take you through a certain, the various activities that we did it with a very clear purpose. I wanted to prove to you that modern education is nothing but a crime against humanity. I wanted to just prove that. From all your activities, this is what you're actually, it's been proved to you. But there is a difficulty in accepting it because you are now, enjoying the fruits of your damage. You have nokri, you have employment, you are getting money, but your soul is dead. It doesn't matter. For modern man, what is important is, just survive somehow. Whether by killing the soul, it doesn't really matter. By killing your identity, it doesn't really matter. None of that matters in the context of modernity. So, from the first event that I asked you to do, what is the first event? I asked you to imagine the earth, right? This is the tragedy of a literate person. The basic damage is coming from shifting from orality to literacy. What that actually means is that, you see, in the journey of human beings, there were only two events that impacted us biologically. The rest of the changes, for example, from hunter-gatherer to farming, from farming to all that, are social changes. At a biological level, at your level of biology, there were only two basic fundamental changes. The first one was millions of years ago, when we shifted from raw food to cooked food. Our biology is equipped for raw food. I hope there's no doubt about that. To eat the meat as it is, not cooked meat. Right? We may find it difficult to accept it now. But, let me, second, I want another thing to tell you. Please don't take notes. Just look at me and listen. Right? Because we are engaging with each other at a very deep level. Don't, distract your attention by writing, because this is being recorded and it will be available to you. There's nothing you're going to miss. Please pay attention fully to what is happening. Because this is another damage of modernity, because we don't know how to be present totally. Total presence requires that you're fully listening. I mean, when somebody is talking, no? So don't worry. I know this is a bad habit schools have taught you to keep noting down. That doesn't really help. Pay attention. Pay attention, because understanding doesn't happen. I'm purposely I'm calling it understanding, because right now what has happened is that the realm of understanding itself is damaged and you're not aware of it. You understand? So you only have a myth in your head, your imaginations of knowledge, which is absolutely false, because you have never dealt with reality. You have dealt with the descriptions, and with the mind you have created stories. This is a story that is being played out now. When I am asking you to imagine the earth, many of you are imagining in a 2-dimension. Others are imagining the globe that you have seen. The real earth is something that is there. It cannot be brought into your tiny head, your egoistic head. It can be brought into your non-egoistic head, but not into your egoistic head. Egoistic head can only bring in that was taught to you, that globe. I hope we can stop the workshop right now, because you have understood what I'm talking about. Now the details. Now the details, okay? Now, you see, my intention is this. There are two people who are directly into education. There are some people in NGOs. I hope that you will stop all these activities after you go through my workshop, because this is absolutely demeaning activities when you assume that you're superior to others. This is the most demeaning activity to your own soul and to the soul of others. When you assume that you are there to help others, it's a distraction to you and to the other. So teaching is nothing sort of destroying the other. First, you destroyed yourself. That's why you don't. Because if you really know what is learning, you will never teach anybody. Because learning, like digestion, food, how you digest your food, is a very, very internal process. There's nothing you can do about teaching. So we are trapped in the modern Western paradigm, which is absolutely destructive to life. It is destroying life like anything. And yet we have not been able to understand, because the realm of understanding itself is damaged. So whatever you are exploring is always explored within the realm, within the framework what is West has given to you. Text. Let me correct it. It is not the West, it is the text. West is a victim of the text. Literacy was established in 15th, 14th century, around that time, in Europe. And in 300 years, it spread to 70-80% of Europe. And then the whole social system, everything changed. You see, they are always telling it is because of something else, because of industrialization, many things they are talking about. No, it is because of the change that happened into your cognitive frame that you change the world. You create the world as per you. You understand? When you have a linear fragmented mind, you create the world into linearity and fragmentation. Right? So the first exercise was the earth. That's the first proof to tell you that you're imagining. You're not connecting with reality. Second was a simple proof to tell you that none of you have actually seen a mango properly. You just recollected what was taught to you, because a mango never has leaves near the mango. Leaves are far away. If you've actually seen a mango from a mango tree or anywhere, you will not see leaf, next to the mango. It's almost 8-10 inches above. All right. I'm just wanting to prove you that how damaging schooling has been. That's all. And what was the third event? Third event was asking you to travel up and coming down. No. So for many educated, and it's for the educated actually, their assumption is that when you're going to north, you're going up. When you're going to south, you're going down. So we actually have a vertical and a two-dimensional realm within which you're operating. Do you understand? Our cognitive realm, understand, is two-dimensional. So we are operating within the two-dimensional realm of the text. What are you experiencing? You're experiencing two-dimensionality from the time you are 2, 3, 4 years. But that is what now with the screen coming in, it's going to be far more dangerous. Okay, now the third exercise was about the tree. The last one was about the tree. When you're writing tree, no tree is in your head. Usually it is the tree, T-R-E-E, that. So alphabet is what comes to your mind. So what reading does, what alphabetization does, is to have in your mind usually the letters. And when you're imagining a pronoun. Actually, when you're seeing, you're seeing concrete. You don't see tree. You see a mango tree or another tree or another tree. There is no, common nouns that you see. Are you getting my point? You are seeing something very particular. But what writing does is to turn everything into common nouns. Because you're not seeing anything particular, no? So when you draw, when you did the drawing, also, I don't know how many of you, did you think of some tree, or was it some recollection of some school tree that you drew when you're in the school? Very rarely people draw with actual tree in the mind. So the third event was to actually encounter an actual tree. When you're actually seeing a tree, there is a complete another relationship that happens between you and the world. So you see not only the tree, but the movement of the tree. If there is breeze, if there are, you feel it actually, because there is a experiential totality when you're actually encountering something. The tree also has a background, or maybe it is moving, the wind is there, right? The real world can never be represented in any other means. There's no way you can represent it. But the whole modernity is engaging with miniaturized and infantilized representations of the real world and assuming that they're educated. All right. So now I will take you through my journey because I don't have any theory to tell you. I can share my experience of how I began to really address this whole colossal, mistake that humanity has been committing. You see, I did engineering. Till engineering, I had bad life because see, my parents were teachers. It's actually a bad scene. If your parent is a teacher, then home is also turned into a school. So my home was essentially a school, So yeah. How I know you have children home? Okay. Okay. No, these days, every educated is a teacher. Every educated is a teacher because you see what you learn is to become a teacher. I will take you through this. I hope you will have time for you to explore what real learning means. Learning is fundamentally rooted in biology. Learning is not a choice. Please understand this. Learning is not a choice. All biological activity, we are biological beings, and as biological beings, our very nature is to learn. Learning is the most important survival mechanism life has given to you. It's not an egoistic idea. We took it away and turned it into some silly thing called education. Absolutely, this is what we have done. And destroyed the earth beyond recognition. And now we are thinking we can repair it. No, the only repair that is required is to the human being, not to the earth. You change and the world will change. The assumption is that you keep, doing things to the outer world, but you remain the same. You're going to destroy it beyond any possibility of, recovery. The whole crisis is that something has gone wrong with human beings. I actually call them, what has happened is that educated has turned us from human beings into human knowings. We are preoccupied with knowledge, but we don't know how to live it. And the knowledge we have is also very, very, very egoistic, some little bit here and there, and we assume that we have, great knowledge and all that. So I did engineering and I hated that 5 years. And my initial 2-3 years was spent on drinking and smoking, ganja, and, I hardly attended classes. I copied and passed. And so in 4th year, luckily I was expelled in 3rd year because I was really not, giving a lot of trouble to everybody. So, and luckily I'm thank God that I was expelled, because when I was expelled, it gave me 1 year to really think of what the hell is happening around me, right? The most important thing I encountered is that this engineering institute, institutions, I couldn't find even one person who's really committed to learning. Everybody's getting mark. Please don't confuse that. Our confusion is that getting mark means we are, learning. No, we are not learning anything. I found nobody is committed to learning. Nobody is deeply interested in knowing anything. It's supposed to be a famous, engineering college in that, in that state. I look back in my school, I had not met anybody, neither among teachers nor among students. I was wondering, what are we doing? Why are we here? That is what actually triggered a journey into trying to find out what is learning, And luckily, I had a friend, professor, who used to have a school, primary school. So he told me, since you're already out, when you are expelled, why don't you spend time in my school? You can, stay there and, also spend time. So I thought that's a good idea. Because I was interested in children. For some reason, I was drawn to children right from those days, So I thought, why not I spend time there? And so I did that. And I really, 1 year was not much. But I took 2 very important decisions. Never to do anything that you don't like to do. And never to do 9-to-5 job. That is a very, very important decision, considering that I don't come from a rich family, nor a middle class family, lower middle class family, of course, with parents with a lot of, not parents, my father with a lot of ambitions, and going up the ladder. Luckily for me, there was something that was internal voice, which was very strong, didn't allow me to work. So of course I went back, I took the degree back, degree and all that. But then I studied design after that. I did that only because, they were giving 3 years stipend. I thought, let me spend 3 more years, finding out what should I be doing with life, So I went to design, and it was a mind-blowing experience because a completely changing paradigm. Because in design education, especially I studied in Ahmedabad, in NID, National Institute of Design, those days. It was a fantastic place where everybody was interested in learning. First time I encountered a place where no one was teaching, everyone was learning. There was no so-called teachers there who had knowledge full, no? There was nobody. Everybody is interested in learning. So that 3 years, I did a fantastic experiment with myself. What is learning? So I did a kind of a self-exploration to understand what is really learning. So that 3 years was fantastic. And one very important thing that I encountered, which usually people don't encounter, is the idea of sense of beauty. We are only connected with knowledge. When we talk about decolonization, only knowledge comes to your mind. But a far deeper aspect is the sense of beauty. If your sense of beauty is not yours, then what belongs to you is something that you must ask. Because, your senses are your senses, no? Your physical senses. But in spite of you having your senses, the sense of beauty that you have doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the Western consumeristic paradigm. All the cities in the world today, all the objects, products in the world today, almost all of them belong to the Western paradigm. Because all education is based on West. West produces knowledge on any field, and others follow. Please understand, I have nothing against West. Please understand this. This is a historical tragedy that we are encountering, and we have to encounter this without any enmity to anybody. So I don't have any colonialism itself was a situation like that. Right now, I don't have any enmity, but I won't colonize anybody, because the very act of teaching is colonization. It's as detrimental as that. Okay, so the 3 years at NID was fantastic. That what I did, I always try to say is that I almost created a second womb for my rebirth. It is almost like a rebirth of a new person who began to see the world very differently. And I did some experiments. I can, maybe share with you later some of those experiments. And certain things luckily happened to me, like the way I was expelled. I think that was the best gift life could give me, So similar things did happen at NID also, which shifted my journey in the right direction. And then after that, I passed out, and then I had decided never to work or never to do anything that I don't like to do. So naturally, but during NID, my interest, one very important thing, let me tell you, important thing that happened was that I shifted from the mind-based paradigm of learning into experience-based paradigm of learning. What I mean by mind-based paradigm of learning is that, of course, all of you, whatever you've learned is only mind-based. That is why the earth is round this much and earth is flat, no? Because if you're actually experienced, then this is not the answer that you will be getting, no? Other simple thing I keep asking people, you can, now you will be careful, you will be carefully answering my question, but don't be careful. Just let me ask you, what is the color of sky? Can you answer fast? Unmute, and I know you'll be a little careful now, but don't guard yourself.
Blue.
Blue.
Dependent
All right.
on the weather.
What is the color of leaves?
Green.
Yeah. So this is the
Dependent
normal
on the
answer.
season.
Normal answer all educated give, blue and green, anywhere in the world. And so just to prove that we don't see anything. No, the reason is that not only we don't see anything, we are never present. We are always absent. We are in the past because we are always responding from the past knowledge. The same question was asked to children. What is the color of sky? And it was in the classroom. So some children looked out and some children asked, what time of the day are you referring to? Only we have ready-made answers. Children do not have ready-made answers. That's because children are present and and being in the present, they want to understand the things. Again, this presence is not a choice. Please let me tell you this. For human beings, presence was never a choice. It is through education that we made ourselves absent. Right? Presence actually means your mind is aware of the body. That's what it means. Because your body is present without any choice. Right? Your body is sensing everything without any choice because that is not under your control. The body is controlled by biology. It's functioning. It's able to sense the heat, anything that is happening. The moment some smell comes in, you get it. You understand? Your senses are functioning without any choice. What we have done is that we have taken mind from that presence, and the mind is always absent. And it is because of education, because of language, the way we use language, that we become absent. So, of course, I must tell you this is years of research. I mean, almost from 91 to here is almost 30, 40 years of very deep research. Research means that I was not at all doing the Western-oriented research. My research meant that, in fact, I will come to that. Just give me a minute. So after my design education, all that, I started working with rural tribal people. And the first thing I realized was that the rural tribal people have the capacity to teach me. I went there like all NGOs wanting to save them. But when I went there, I realized it's the other way around, that they have the capacity to save me because I am the one who is problem. I am the one who is colonized. I am the one who is, damaged cognitively. I immediately was able to see that their potential is actually to change me. So, so instead of me trying to help them, I created a different environment where I began to respect them in the activities that I was doing, In the relationship between me and communities. And the second shift was that when I worked with children, I became even far more clear that it is children who can actually help us, because all children are born with the inherent biological capacity. And if we don't damage it, children can teach us how to change ourselves. So I actually, from 92 onwards, I began to document what children do. Because one thing I found in rural tribal areas is that there's no teaching at all, yet they are learning. I was working with traditional artisan communities who make pottery and different crafts, traditional crafts. To my surprise, I found that in spite of no teaching, the potters and the farmers, everybody is picking up. Children are just learning it. So I began to document what children do. From this documentation, I was able to understand how does the brain work? How does the mind work? What do children do to understand the real world? And the other thing I did was that I stopped reading completely. This is very important, because the cognitive structure of your brain today is dictated by what you've read, or how the reading itself, not what you've read. It doesn't matter whether you read Bible, Veda, or porn, or any damn nonsense you read. It doesn't matter. The act of reading changes your brain, not the content. It's for the brain. The content is the book itself. Please understand this. We are assuming that the content is what is written there. No, the content is the thing itself. All right. I hope you understand that. Huh? So it doesn't matter. So when I stopped reading completely, but it took some time, it slowly changed my structure of the brain. Now, before I give you a break, I will briefly tell you the difference between this. And then if you want, you can come with some questions and then I will show you one presentation. All right. So see, one very important thing you must realize is that human beings absorb what is in the context and imbibe that and learn it. But we all come with universal capacities, meaning all of us are born with the capacity to learn a language. But which language depends on the context. If you're born in China, you learn Chinese. In the slums of Bangalore, children learn 4 languages by the time they reach 4 years. Because in their context, there is Tamil, Kannada, Telugu, and Hindi. 4 languages children learn with no choice, with no drama, nothing. They just pick it up because it is there in the environment. All right. So the cognitive structure of a non-literate is that you absorb and imbibe. Whereas for a person who is reading, he reads, he thinks, he agrees, disagrees. Initially, there is no agreement, disagreement. You're beaten up and you have to agree. You have to agree to whatever the teacher is telling. Otherwise, you won't get mark or you'll be beaten up. And then you store that information. And then when you reach a slightly higher age, you play around with the same information because you have no capacity to take information, create information, that you don't have capacity. Written, content comes to you. You agree with it or disagree with it because you read something else also, not because of any authentic understanding of anything. So what you basically do is permutation combination of some second-hand information and assume that you're very creative and intelligent. That's the assumption. For a non-literate person, being original and authentic is not a choice. Because when you experience anything, you can only experience it authentically and originally. Originality is the very nature of experience. Okay, we'll take a break and come back at 10:50. Actually, no, I can only do just shock you right now, because actually you will have to go through a journey with me to truly understand the implications of what I'm talking about to some extent. Not that, of course you can do it on your own. There's no problem at all, unless, because I did it on my own because, I was really concerned about what is happening to me. It's a deeper concern, not a physical survival concern, but more of a deep spiritual concern that was so strong that I rejected everything and started, I never worked, never did a job, once in a while something, in the earlier years. And I began to work in design schools and architectural schools and also do parenting and workshop in schools who really want to understand the damages and reduce the damages. Schools cannot be repaired. Please understand this. The very notion of school is damaging to human consciousness. But since it is there, how do you begin to... So I've been doing some activities related to that in a much later time. For many years, I never hardly worked. I was, in rural tribal areas trying to... so what I'm trying to say is that if you are really deeply concerned about it, then you will have to, be with me for some more time on a similar journey. I offer certain workshops and all that online these days. But given the 1 hour kind of 2-3 hour format, I can only, show some trailers of here and there. And so basically there are 2 fundamental areas of my work. One is to understand what is the biological roots of our being, how we are fundamentally biological. It's like this, that when you think of fish, you will only think of fish with water surrounding it. No? You cannot imagine fish otherwise. Of course, you can imagine a dead fish, that's a different matter. But a live fish, you can never imagine without the water. It's one unit then. You see? So when you talk about human beings, without the biological aspect of being human, you cannot think, because we are only concerned about the society and sociology and all that kind of nonsense. But without you as a biological being, this has no existence. You know? So that's a very important thing to consider. So the two areas of my research has been what is the biological roots of being, which means what is the biological root of cognition, learning, beauty, and values. All these three things are biologically grounded, because without this grounding, there cannot be life. Ethics is part and parcel of life's structure, the way life is organized. You know, and it is not just blank statement that that people hear about Darwin saying survival of the fittest. No, it's not the survival of the fittest. It's an absolutely wrong statement. I don't know whether he made it, but that's what it is being said. No. And then the second damage that I've been looking at is what is the cognitive damages of modernity, which I would actually start from literacy. When literacy took over our life in general, then what are the changes that brought into us? And now it is continuing in a much more deeper way with the introduction of digitality, whether it is through television, through computer, mobile, all this digital means is impacting us in a much more deeper way, much more damaging way. But the way we are structured, we do not have the capacity to understand what is wrong with us. So we have enormous capacity for self-deception, and which is also a survival mechanism, because as a human being, you can only survive feeling that you're doing right. It may be wrong. Your existence. So you have to be extremely cautious and extremely strong in addressing what is wrong with you. This is not something that we are very good in asking what is wrong with the others, what is wrong outside. No, we'll repair the schools, we will do NGO work, we will do all kinds of activities to repair others, assuming the problem is there. But actual problem is you, meaning me, the modern humans. And unless we understand, go into it very deeply, no change is going to occur. So these are the two areas of my research. And as I was telling earlier, that I stopped reading for a few years when I was living with rural tribal areas. And I shifted from reading, thinking, analyzing to observing and understanding naturally. What that means is that, like, for example, when you learned your mother tongue, did you make any effort? Did you learn actually? It happened to you. It was not a choice. Right? But how can you, but you look at the language, it's very complex in many ways. The way language is all organized, that the way language is held together. Am I right? There are tremendous rules to the way language is organized. Now, am I right? But without learning any of that, we picked up language. Am I right? We did not learn grammar. But we are speaking properly, which means grammar has been imbibed by us. Which means that complex language, because if you try to learn a new language in the manner that West is telling you, the modernity is telling you, it's extremely complex. You see, and I'm sure most of you must have hated grammar when it was first introduced to you. Of course, later you like it because that fetches you more mark than writing an essay. One answer, 1 mark. No, essay you write 10 sentences, till you get only 3 marks. So we prefer grammar only because it was giving you more mark, not because we have any great like for grammar. You see, in fact, we hated it right in the beginning. Do you understand? But the fact is that we all know implicitly grammar. So there are certain fundamental issues, the way life functions, we have not addressed. So I will now share with you as I told you, through language, very difficult to truly communicate anything, because we are all trapped in language. We either agree or disagree depending upon our likes and dislikes. Otherwise, it has to be really shocking. No. So what I did was that I began to document everything that I want to convey. So when I say children are learning, I will show you things that will make you recollect your childhood, or remember seeing children doing certain things. That is the method I use. No language manner, no writing, and then you are assuming something. By the way, the root meaning of the word read comes from French, some French word, and the meaning is guessing, Guess. So when you're reading, what you're doing is you're making rapid guesses. It's a guesswork, actually. You're assuming meaning. Do you understand? That's what you're doing. You're imagining something which is not there. This is an assumption. So let me ask you one thing. When you were children, when you got the book, did you keep the book like this by any chance? When you were children, as a child, you kept the book like this, right? How many of you did it? Yeah, did it. Yeah. Others, maybe you don't remember. Try to recollect. Your childhood, a book like this was kept. When you got the book, kept it like this on the table. Yeah, there. How was showing. And what did you call it? How? If you remember, tell me.
Build a house.
House. Yeah, Marine. Now, any one of you recollect making a house with the book?
Yeah,
Like
same. That's a roof. The roof of the house.
Yeah, the roof. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is the house that we constructed when we are small. Ray, what did you do? Were you given so many? Were you spoiled by parents giving you a lot of toys?
No, I wasn't, Prof. Keelan.
So recollect and tell me how old did you make houses?
I would draw them often.
Drawing. No, that is becoming too intellectual. Making it. That's a two-dimensional activity. Drawing, of course, is important in the context of modern life. I'm asking our first response is to remake the world. The whole play is nothing but a cognitive activity of understanding the world. It's a remaking of the world. Did you put bedsheet over a table and play house? Tell me this. Bedsheet over a table and played house.
Actually, Prof. Keelan, it's more of me imagining things as compared to me changing my environment. I have to admit, I think I'm that kind of. I wasn't as creative. I didn't change the environment, but I would imagine things. I'd imagine like the sofa is like like a ship, and I'm like a pilot. I am like a pirate and something like that. Something like that. I didn't change. I think it's because in terms of where I am, I would have probably be lightly told off by my grandmother. But yeah.
Yeah.
I have that other aspect.
Okay. So that's other one, that using pillow, table, chair, and various things. Did you construct a house? Remember making that?
Yes.
Yeah. And when sitting on a sofa, do you remember bouncing? Doing this?
Yes.
Yes, all of you? Yeah, jumping like that. Am I right? What I've actually just told you is the structure of how you understand the world. The world consists of form, how it looks like. What does it look like? Right? It consists of function. What is the use? Process, how it is made. Structure, how it is held together, materials, with what it is made. These are the 5 aspects of the world. Of course, it is in context. Are you getting a point? So whatever activity children do, if you don't interfere, is to recreate the world in terms of these categories I just mentioned. Either they will recreate the world the way it looks, or they will use the functionality. They will explore the process. Through the process, when they are engaging with that, they will understand the materials and the structure of it. Structure, how it is held together. Right? Also, every activity, not only physical activity, but also the social encounters they have. You know, they see a festival, they come and reenact it. They come back from school and play teacher games, they become teacher. They go to a marriage, come back and play marriage games. Am I right? Every activity is being reenacted by children. This reenactment is the act of learning. When they reenact, they recreate the world. They recreate their experiences, and they use whatever objects that they get to represent the original objects. Now, what I'm telling is that there is one thing which is far more dangerous than schooling to children. That are the ready-made toys that you're now getting for children. Children do not need toys at all. Children are not playing. They are exploring the world, and they are exploring it playfully. So modern minds have completely reconstructed the world as per their ideas of the world. Not of the real world. They create ideas, and from the ideas they are recreating the world. So what you're doing with children is that you divide their time into play, separate from learning, separate from working, and separate from art. All the 3 are fragmented. For a child, there is only one activity, which is to understand the world. That's all what they're doing. There is no, for them, there is no work. There is no, because for you, work has a different connotation. Nah? Your idea of work is different from idea of learning. Idea of art is something else. For a child, all these are one. One activity in which they are fully committed, fully involved, fully responsible, fully enjoying. So this is what the child is. The child is actually born integral and holistic. The modern beings are fragmented and individualistic, and you start destroying them through whatever means that you have. Start by teaching them all kinds of things, telling them silly stories, giving them toys, then sending them off to school. Best ways to destroy a human being we have invented. So can I share something, or I am actually purposely giving you some time to, if you have something to.
Professor Zinan, just
yes.
a small request, gentle request. If
loudly, little louder, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So we also hope our GMF fellows might have some questions or concerns with you. Also, you can entertain them by yourself.
Sure,
also.
sure.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor.
Can I ask a doubt?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I agree very much with you, because there's a lot. I also feel for the last, I was a teacher, and maybe towards the end of my teaching career, I started learning more from my students than teaching. That's what I really felt. Because I was teaching in the college, in the university level.
Where?
In Kerala, in St. Joseph's College. I was the principal of a college.
Oh, okay.
But I was very happy with the students, because I always felt they are very creative, very committed, very much. They have that thirst for learning and all that. I enjoyed. But at the same time, these recent years, I'm having a doubt, because children, when we look at children, they learn from the experience that they get. So, for example, what I heard from a friend of mine who is working with eaters. The parents are all rat eaters, in Bihar, in particular village. So these children, my friend was telling, she wanted to bring them up with lot of newness, creativity, new way of teaching and all that. She is being with them. But she said these children do not have any motivation, because their parents having they don't have a self-esteem for themselves. And children also, they are when there is a time of picking rats, they just run away and they enjoy eating rats. Yes, that's okay, all okay. According to their culture, it's all okay. But the problem is they have lot of lack of self-dignity, because people think that they are not, because others think they are not equal, they are low. And these children also lack motivation. So my doubt is, these children learn from the experience that they get, so from the bigger world, actually they are influenced by the world around. So are we able to give them pure experience, so to say, learn from something new, if they don't get adults who are mature?
Yeah. Actually, the question of self-esteem is very, very tricky, actually. Because how is that we are not worried about our self-esteem, even though we are completely colonized in every way? Why is that the modern non-Western intellectuals have no botheration of the fact that they don't create knowledge at all? So what is self-esteem then? We are okay with talking about somebody else's self-esteem. What about our self-esteem? Doesn't that matter? Doesn't the fact that we are all capable of creating knowledge, and that what we actually have is false self-esteem, a layer that is protecting us from our falseness and assuming that we are fine. That is the way I would look at it, and then begin to address. And of course, the other issue of motivation is another completely false notion, because again, motivation is something that is life-given. It is not an anthropocentric idea. Curiosity, the other side of motivation, is part of life. We are taking that away and replacing it with what we think they should learn. And some of the children you're able to convince and fool them, so they will learn what you want them to learn, and we are very happy with it. See, this is the trickery that we are playing. Who is a good student? A good student is who have been completely colonized, completely conditioned. I'll give you one very interesting example. One child came back from school and told me that today the teacher told us that earlier people used to think the earth was round. Now they know it is flat. Got it? Got what he heard, what he said? Earlier the earth was round. Now the earth is flat. I was so happy meeting one child who resisted teacher's other statement, that our usual idea that the earth is round. Because for this child, his experience is what he is seeing is the earth is flat. So there was one child who felt that no, this is wrong what the teacher has told, but he thought maybe the teacher must have made a mistake, and he corrected it for him. So I was happy, at least meeting one boy who has seen the world, and he's refusing to. But of course, in 3 months' time, he was beaten up and made to utter the other thing, that the earth is round. Do you understand? So a good student is somebody who is absolutely superstitious, who have believed every damn thing that has been written in the book. You see, you must differentiate between who is a learner or who is a scientist and who is not. Most people who are educated today have nothing to do with science. Education is nothing but another kind of religion which you have believed in. And you have all kinds of theories to prove what your belief system. That's all. It's a belief system. A true learner is an inquirer. You see, I just in November, I conducted a program for design students. And it's a 4-week program in which I did not teach anything. I got students to articulate what are the elements and principles that make anything beautiful. My subject was beauty. What are the elements and principles of beauty? That is the subject. And usually, the teaching method is that it's all defined. What are the elements and what are the principles? Everybody knows who has read a book. So the usual method is you blurt it out and they blurt it back. You see? So I purposely did no teaching at all. I got them to explore this whole thing. And they began to articulate and start telling that, this is what it is, this is what it is. Somebody who is good, one thing I want to request, please don't send messages when the talk is going on, because it disturbs everybody, it disturbs me also. So it's a usual practice, but it's not a good idea actually. It just, diverts attention. So, or you can just put your hand up and then I can, stop and do that. But otherwise everybody will get distracted. So, so what I was telling was that I took them through the process of creation of knowledge. You see, you tell me, any institution, have they any time talked about creation of knowledge? They only want you to believe whatever knowledge has been created. That's all. Okay. Yeah. So anybody else, if you have something, we can quickly go over and yeah.
Can I request the fellows to please, you must have some, can you hear me now? Yeah, please, he has shared a lot of things which are very insightful. So I would suggest that you raise questions on the concerns that we are starting our journey.
Yeah.
And he's helping us with our journey. So
sorry. Please continue. I will.
Yeah. So he's shared a lot of them. Please, raise some questions, ask some questions or concerns, even to clarifications. Some of the things that we said, clarification, Sister Janet, that will be helpful for all of us.
Yeah. Also, Nata, I just want to tell you that and if there is a lot of interest, I can come back another time. So don't worry about today finishing it off and saying goodbye.
No, it's not like that. Usually we are requesting the educators to come back in the interest if the students raise, and we will certainly have special lectures with you when they have gone through a number of areas of course, these encounters. So sure, we will definitely call you.
So feel free. You can also take my email also, and it's there in all the letters that we are sending now. So if you feel free, you can do connect, because sometimes it's not easy for immediately to ask questions. You don't have to. You can hold these questions. And I would also say that to me it's very important. There are two things that I say. Don't try to understand what I tell, because if you try to understand, you're only making up another story in your head. It is better you stay disturbed. You stay with the questions. Because it's not good to resolve a question. The whole modern system is to resolve a question fast so that you can go into the next chapter. No question can be truly resolved like that. And the damage of modernity is that we do not have questions, because we are never encountering any doubt. We are always dealing with certainty. The whole modern educational paradigm, we have only dealt with ready-made, finished knowledge. So the discipline of having doubt only comes when you're inquiring into learning, inquiring into things. Inquiry is never part of our educational process. So it's okay that you don't, there's no compulsion that you should immediately ask questions. You can even have some doubts which need not be cleared now. And
yes, Jinan, that's the, I think you got the point exactly the way in which we are trying to take this process.
Yeah.
So, and to make it, to live with this discomfort, to live with this, unfinishedness, as it were, as against all this complete solution, this, that, and the other. So, but if they have some thing that they share with you, and it's a little bit of exchange would be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Ray has some concerns.
Yeah. Thank you. Indeed, this session is really Prof. Jinan. It's actually giving me a lot of feelings and thoughts, and quite conflicted, I have to admit. Like truly, and it's worthwhile to be reminded of the pains and limitations of our educational system, of how so many of us limit the questioning. But I also feel that some facts might be taken out of, some truths might be taken out of context, and might, like, despite me wanting to be practical, I also believe like in romanticism, in the sense of, like, for example, we want originality, true. As you've shared, originality is important in terms of learning, but we are future generations.
Some problem with the connection. Ray.
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay. Perhaps I'll turn off the camera first. I think maybe that might be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So a lot of conflicts, Prof. Jinan, but then I really like it. But my question though is more on there's so many, but I guess if one on the top of my head, which is in terms of originality, I think this is something can be taken out of context, but please clarify further. Like, for example, you've shared that we ought to be like open, critical with the whole learning process. It has to be new, and even like with reading, of course, already something biases in what we read, limitations. But then we are also connected to past and future generations. There's nothing really fully original, and that's fine because we are also building up shared narratives. But we, of course, in an open society, we ought to be able to question. But I don't know, Prof. Jinan, like, I'm like, how about the concept that there are things that they bind us more, and then there are certain kinds of things that we ought to accept, not because we just eat into it, because there's this communal aspect, and then beyond biology, right? Like, humans are like complex being of biology and social concepts, social truths and realities that we are yet to understand. So how about that, Prof. Jinan? One is on again, clarity on originality. Second thing, in terms of like, can you further expound on biology? Because on my end, biology is great, but it's really not the definitive factor. I think there are like social structures and everything else. Am I somewhat clear? Sorry, a lot of processing still on my end, Prof. Jinan.
No, the problem is that you are see, whatever I have told has been interpreted very, very differently, and so that's why I think it's too early to ask questions at this level, because what you're now doing is that you are interpreting what I'm telling within your framework, and that's going to create absolute problems, because your definition of originality, your understanding of biology is completely different. So it is better, these kind of questions are, it will take much more time for you to resolve, because you see, for example, today, there is, in the cognitive sciences, people now talk about embodiment. That is, body is part of learning. There is a statement. There are two ways we can arrive at this understanding. Two ways we can arrive at this understanding. One is by understanding from your own embodied experience, your body telling you. Understand?
Yes.
But what is modernity doing is that it is a mind that is telling you about embodiment. You find the difference? Mind is trying to interpret biology in its own convenient ways.
Yes, because it wants to make
So this
sense.
is the problem. So what I would say is that it is better you don't get into an argumentative kind of a mental structure right now, because that is what you're trained to today. Modern education is training you for mental argumentation, not for perception. You see, the damage that schooling is doing to you is to make you believe that your opinion is knowledge. Your opinion is not knowledge. Nobody's opinion is knowledge. Perception is knowledge. What you observe is knowledge, not what you think. So the whole confusion today is that knowledge has been misconstructed as each and everybody's opinions, even though we talk about objective knowledge. At one level, we talk about objective knowledge, and it is denied completely because we think that reading somebody else's book is objective. What you experience is not objective. This is the assumption. The assumption is that what you experiences say is not objective. And from the true perception can only happen in an authentic encounter with things. And I would also like to make one more statement that all true scientists, it is Newton, Edison, or anybody like that, their understanding came from experience and not by reading.
Yes.
Please understand this.
One aspect.
So without experience, no science can happen. We know this, but all our sciences are held without any experience. So this is the difference between true scientists and fake scientists. True knowledge and fake knowledge. It is not it is actually in process that becomes true or false. If you authentically engage with things and you understand with directly, that is going to be as fake, that is going to be original, and that is going to be true knowledge. So it doesn't matter whether it's not that knowledge per se, right or wrong, is immaterial. When you engage with knowledge without your experience, it's superstition. So whatever Newton and Einstein said, for us it is superstition, because our mind does not have the ability to create knowledge. It doesn't mean that we have to create all knowledge, but at least the brain structure should retain its ability to create knowledge. So what I create in something, I can see the parallel in something else. See, for example, my understanding of children has come from my almost 30 years of research on children, direct research, not by reading. Direct observation, documentation, thousands of videos and images I have on children. And from this, I have been able to understand what does the child learn? How does the child learn? The whole process has been decoded actually. And it is years of work. It's almost like a total commitment to understanding. So what I want to talk about originality here is that what Montessori said, Montessori education, Montessori and on senses and children, and what I said are very similar. It is original to her and it is original to me because I have seen it. Originality is what we are all born with potential for originality. So originality in a sense is not a choice actually, but we can destroy it. So what education does is to destroy your capacity for any original understanding of anything. Because right from the day one, you have been told this is how it is. So originality is that. Originality means that. In the Western framework, originality is something else. I'm telling that if you have experienced it, you have originally understood it. That's what originality means, which means everybody has the potential to understand. Potential. And you have to pay attention to that. And of course, there are, levels of it, because how much you invest in wanting to know something, the deeper you will understand. The deeper will be in that sense, it depends on your involvement, your actual presence.
Yes. So even that Prof. Gina was like, I kind of thought of that at the same time. Like, so if in that sense, it's not all biology is there, the ability to learn, the ability to be original, but then of course the choice, the consistent choice of wanting of learning is still something else. Not really a biological thing, but like
What is choice that you're talking about? What choice are you talking about?
the
What
choice
choice?
of learning.
No,
The
there is no
choice
choice in
of
learning. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There is nothing called choice in learning. Learning is a choiceless activity. The notion of learning choice is a modern conception, misconception, that you can read a book and understand things. This is an absolute nonsense, actually. What your whole cognitive structure is built without you choosing. It depends on the environment. There is no choice in biology. You can destroy what is your biological capacity by overlaying it with your psychological ideas. That's precisely what is happening. That I told you, presence, being present is actually choiceless. If your body and mind are together. Because the body has no choice but to be present. You are hearing me, it's not your choice. But now you can sit here and not listen to me. You can create images. That's what we do in class. No, in the classroom, you are physically present, mentally absent. So our training actually to be physically present and mentally absent starts from the classroom. Physical presence, your senses, as I told you, do not have any choice. They'll absorb, imbibe, and learn. Do you know why children play teacher games? They play teacher game because the body, the body is learning the experience itself. The mind may be learning what the teacher is wanting to, teaching. So a child is constantly having a split experience in the classroom. The body is experiencing the fear or the love or the tension, everything that the senses can experience. So when they come back from school, they reenact what the body has learned. So they become like a teacher. They will make you sit down, do this, don't do that. All the authority that they've imbibed in the classroom, they come to the house and start replaying. Have you seen this? Children doing this? They come back and play teacher games. So you look carefully. What does the child imbibe in that? The act of teaching. So what actually you learn from your school is to teach. Please understand it. That's why all of you are teachers. Because that is what you learn. If you encounter learning happening in the classroom, you will become learners. To learn means to create knowledge. Please understand this. Learn doesn't mean read some silly book. No. To learn means to create knowledge. That's what learning is. Creation of knowledge is not something esoteric. It's natural, normal, absolutely normal to all human beings, all living beings. They are continuously creating knowledge of its surroundings. So the whole thing is that, many of these words have been appropriated by modernity. There is no learning as an independent activity in modernity. It is teaching, learning together. All the departments that you see, it's a teaching, learning departments. You see? So learning has been subjugated into the act of teaching. Because I teach, you learn. So the whole modern conception is very mental conception. It has not understood learning enough as a holistic being. Stay confused. Don't try to resolve it. I want you to stay confused, because if you resolve it, you will not enter into any inquiry. It is extremely disturbing. Stay disturbed. If you try to resolve it, what you are resolving it according to your likes, your present framework. Your present framework is not, doesn't have the capacity to understand what I'm trying to tell you. because it's not the understanding shouldn't take place in mental realm. True understanding is a holistic process where the body is understood and the mind is understood together. Let me tell you one small statement and then I will go into the presentation. You see, I was telling this to some friends in India. So someone was telling me that in the traditional Indian system of teaching in Gurukulas, the slog, they have the Sanskrit slogas, no? It is recited and memorized by the student. It is never explained. That's because when true event happens, language is recalled and true understanding then happens. You get my point? Otherwise, if it is explained, you will assume that you have understood it, and when the actual event is happening, you will bypass it. That's the reason. True understanding should always happen within the realm of experience and not in the realm of language. What modernity is doing is that it is making you understand everything in the realm of language and you're absent to the reality. You must have learned to draw the mango when you were in first standard, correct? First standard. You were about 5 years then. You all must be around 30 years now, average. 25 years have passed. And till then, have you not seen a mango tree, a mango hanging there? Why is it that there is no observation of that, and still you recall the other one which you learned in the school, the mango with the leaf? This is the problem, that whatever you have been taught in the mental realm has stayed back. Our ability to observe and comprehend and understand has been gone. So the more you try to retain your, this modern ability of linguistic comprehension, you will never understand what the world is. The world is something else altogether. The world is not flat. The world is not round so much. So to reclaim that, you have to change many of your cognitive habits, psychological habits that we are ingrained with. You see, all educated without their choice feel superior because you think you're educated. It's a subconscious feeling. It's not that you're conscious of it, but your behavior shows that you are. Suppose you're engaging with some illiterate person or children. We always behave with authority. Why is it? It's a typical educated person's behavior. You go into any rural tribal area and see how people interact with each other, especially tribal communities. So that's a psychological damage of superiority itself is going to prevent us from true inquiry or true connection, actually. So when I began to work in the design school with students, I was not responding to them as if I know and they do not know. I created an environment where they are capable of creating what I know. I don't have to tell them. And the moment they begin to create, there is a completely different relationship that I have with my student. He is my equal then, because we are both involved in creation of knowledge. And it is objective. You see, when there are universal, for example, any child sitting on a sofa is bouncing. If you observe that, when every children do this, would you call it it's just a subjective thing, or there is something deeper than that? When almost all educated feel that when they are going up, that all that I mentioned to you, about two-dimensionality, about verticality. So these are all So we have to actually understand objectivity from a completely different perspective, not the way that modernity has tried to sell it to you. That's not the way to understand objectivity at all. Without the subjective, there is no objective. Without the subjective, there is no knowledge. The subjective, when it is for your selfish reasons, that's a problem. When there is no selfish reason, the subjective become objective. So it is within you that you have to reach the objectivity. Objectivity is an internal problem. It's not a problem of knowledge itself. See, sustainability, for example, today. True sustainability can only be objective. But the way today everybody is looking at sustainability is very subjective. Because they're only interested in their subjectivity. Their company's subjectivity, their country's subjectivity. That is subjective. But the actual objective is when you are not concerned about you as a human being. If you truly understand sustainability, it's actually a problem of the whole life. Even the ant, the plant, everything is included in that inquiry. Maybe you cannot do anything about it, but at least understand that. At least understand it's an objective inquiry of whole life sustaining. But today's exploration into sustainability is very subjective. Whoever that is doing. Yeah. How?
I think How Can has raised hand. So, yeah.
Professor, I just want to, because experience is also related to exposure. Can I say that readings will also create the exposure as well? Because certain things that we might not know, but through the reading, then
I understood. You see, what I want to tell you is that reading per se is not wrong. The problem happens when your system is rewired, and then you see what is happening is that, are you in control or is the text in control of you is the question. When you engage from childhood, when you engage with the written matter, your brain rewires, and then the written matter, your cognitive wiring is done by the written matter, the text. Then you are not in control. Your perception is completely controlled by your cognitive inputs, your cognitive wiring. So unless we are matured enough, maybe 12, 13, 14 years, till then, it's very important that we let the nature, create our cognitive system completely. You understand? You see, I'll tell you what is there is. You see, this is all very original research. I will tell you the difference between what is the modern literate person's cognitive foundation and what is a natural cognitive foundation when a child makes. The first input for a child is senses, sensory inputs, right? When the sensory input is there, of course, there is a potential for learning. There are inherent things within the child. But when the child is born, the first input is all sensory. The second layer of that foundation are the words connected with those sensory inputs. Understand? And then these two together creates inferential inputs. And actually, whole this process has, we build our ability for abstraction, understanding all that happens within this format. Understand? What happens today is that even though right from childhood, through language, we are bulldozing the child. So the child is getting conceptual inputs right from the beginning. There's no the sensory inputs and the word. There's no connection between the word and the world. Without the world, you are putting in words. And these words become mental ideas. These are not concepts. Please understand, concept is something else. Concept has connection with concrete. For example, when I say fruit, Fruit is a concept. Mango is not a concept. Mango, or what I mean is that these are concrete things. From concrete, you arrive at abstraction and you build concepts. Understand? Huh? What happens today is that we begin to give children concepts right from the beginning with no connection with the real. So what children have, then what can children do is to remember those in the mind. Get it, no? So these are things that needs to really understand these things in a deep way. So would you want me to do a quick presentation? It would, quickly let me do, otherwise we won't have time. Let me quickly do a presentation. Kamala, who is the host now? I don't have permission to
share the screen. Do you want to share the
I think
screen?
you can just share the screen.
I want to share the screen.
Okay. Maybe should we make him the host?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Yes. Now I think yes.
Yeah. I'm the host now, and oh, sorry, not this. Okay, now I will do a quick presentation because we have already kind of covered many things. So certain redefinitions regarding some of the words that we used. And the first thing we must understand is that literates learn the word, illiterates learn the world. Right? This is a very, very fundamental difference to understand, because when we learn the word will shape your cognitive foundation. When you learn the world will shape your cognitive foundation. Why we don't use our senses is because word doesn't require senses, whereas the world requires your senses to function. So your whole cognitive system is shaped by the content, what you engage with, right? So learning is a choiceless activity of life, like breathing. And in the context of natural learning, learning means to uncover the unknown and to create knowledge. An activity that has never taken place in the context of schooling. No uncovering of the unknown has ever taken place. And learning is a two-way process. We are shaped by what we learn. The very act of learning shapes us.
Wow.
Please note, there is no fear in the child. The child is being absolutely intelligent and observant and careful. These are things that are not taught to the child. Life has given this to the child. He is a scientist. Okay. Now, this is actually creation of knowledge. You must understand one thing, that all knowledge is implicitly created by us. There is a total understanding of physics there. The body, not the mind. The child, because the child is encountering this, the child has dealt with many things. Fear, there's no fear in the child. Please understand, there's no fear in the child. But the situation is, he could fall down, that he knows. But he's responding it without fear. Intelligence is working, care, observation. So this is what we do. So we have to really re-understand what is knowledge and how is it created and how is it made explicit. The simple fact is that only. How do you make what is implicitly known into explicit? You are speaking language without knowing grammar. But implicitly, you know grammar. There's no doubt about it. So the question is, how do we make what we already know within us external? This is the basic question, actually. And creativity, again, is a completely misunderstood idea in the modernity. It's not permutation, combination of what is known. It is a response to the unknown is what is creativity. The act of uncovering the unknown. That is to be creative. And curiosity is embedded in everything in life. So you don't need any extra motivation. If you don't interfere, children will learn what they want to learn. And if there are conditions, they will learn what is there. So curiosity is not just anthropocentric. I don't think we are that curious. Look. Huh? Okay, questioning. See, one thing we must understand is that all these terminologies are understood within the realm of language only for us. Questioning means you have to utter it and somebody will answer it. For a child, whatever the child is doing is a result of a question that has happened within them. They are not articulated. And playfulness is a quality that is embedded in the child. So every act is a play. You must have seen how children eat food. Every activity is turned into play because of playfulness. So this is very interesting. This child took a bite this is a coconut piece that he has. He took a bite, he looked at it, and then he told it looks like the Nandi bull, the horn. He immediately saw the connection between that, and then he corrected that to, or changed it to the moon, half moon. See, one thing led to all these things. This is what intelligence is. This is what making knowledge is all about. And this is the principle that children use in developing toys. All the toys that children make has some resemblance to the original object. Play is nothing but the reenactment of experience by recreating and reliving the experience. It's a form of reflection. For us, reflection is always in the realm of language. I'm bringing all that into the realm of experience. Reflection is nothing but an reenactment of a same act, which is what children do. It's a reflection. And toy is the object that is used as props in the process of reenactment of experience. Any object that resembles the original object in some vague way, some strange resemblance is fine. So this is her child. The same object became a bus, and the same object became her to sit down. So the flexibility with which children are able to be open and explore is something that the modern mind lacks. That is why they buy a ready-made toy to a child. No, any object is a toy for a child. So ready-made toys are more dangerous than schools, because you are deviating the attention of the child from the real world In two ways, it is dangerous. One, you're killing their true natural cognitive activity and turning it into a silly play. You are taking the attention from the real world into the object, miniaturized object that you are giving the child. So toy is a process then. So here, the hand is the mobile phone, is calling. So children don't need any object also. The body is the toy, you see. Look, here he found a mic. Then another thing, any object that resembles something else, immediately children turn it into their toy. Look, this is what, no? That stick is his vehicle. Here, some edible is put in the finger. And, imagination, another completely misunderstood idea of modern minds, because they only live in imagination. They don't connect with reality at all. So imagination is something concrete is imagined in the natural cognitive system. Whereas for an educated, it is imagination of imagination. Well, anyway, what you read is only imagined. No? From there, you make more imaginations. These stones are their children. Improvisation. You see, this truck was given to a child. As the child was taking out the truck from the box, he told that the box is the garage. So they know to make use of any situation. He turned the box into the garage. So the difference between an educated and children, meaning natural learning, is that natural learning is process-oriented and creation of knowledge happens. And you're made to be present and you're engaged with quality. They're not preoccupied with quantity. And the other side is product orientation, belief in knowledge, absence, and quantity. So everything you want to quantify, somehow quantify it. Natural pedagogy is what I call as teaching without teaching. This is natural pedagogy. In natural pedagogy, see, the grandfather is not trying to teach the child. He is doing what he is doing. The responsibility of the girl, the learner, is to observe and learn. And that the child is doing anyway. So in rural tribal areas, you will encounter this kind of person who neither has any fear that the child will not learn. This is what the fear of the modern man is. If you don't teach, how will the child learn? That's the fear. There is no intention to teach. So what we do is that we shift from the paradigm of the unknown into the paradigm of the known. This is what happens with the modern education. And we belong to this, So what unknown does is that unknown shapes their value system based on humility and wonder. That is why we are hardly anywhere there, no? We are arrogant about our knowledge. We have such degree. This is what we say. So arrogance is part of our system. There's no wonder left. And cognitive system based on senses, body, and experience. Whereas our cognitive system is based on reading mind. That's all. And thinking. No teaching shapes the value system based on openness, collaboration, and cooperation. We use those terms, openness and all that kind of silly terms, but I don't think we truly understand what that actually means. And the cognitive system based on playful exploration, discovery, intelligence, and open-ended processes, and being autonomous. Autonomy is the key word here. Huh? And never having felt they have failed or made a mistake. Now, this is a typical experience of modern educated person. Or having succeeded, either way. So I will take you through this quickly. Very important to understand that even our ability to walk is only a potential. Human beings, unlike animals, are born with potentials. We have to be awakened to what we have, even learning. These examples of feral children looked after by dogs, monkey, and in a chicken coop. This child became dog-like, all the behavior. The lower child behaved like monkey, and this child was behaving like hen. This child was eating with lips. In fact, this child was somewhere in Indonesia or some place like that. The child, So what we experience is what we learn. Context and condition is all that matters. So this is an interesting experiment in 1930s. This psychologist adopted a chimp, baby chimp, to be with their son. But within 6 months, they threw out the baby chimp because the child was learning to be a monkey to the chimp, not the other way around. So we must understand our brain is far more pliable than any other living being. It is both the boon and the curse. If you give the wrong environment to learn, that's a curse. Today we have very wrong environment because we have not truly understood the implications of what modern cognitive science have discovered. That it is pliable and it will learn. It will learn to be a learner if it is with the learner, and it will learn to teach if it is with the teacher. Simple difference. And how children learn? The process is it develops qualities, tools, abilities, processes. So this is very important to understand that what naturally happens and what school does. How all these things gets rewired and damaged. Senses are the real tools that connect the inner world and the outer world. So both coexist. The external context is as important as the internal context. And observation, what I mean is the act of all the senses. You can see every time the child is observing. Yeah. Now, see the next one. This is the most important video I have. Please look at this very carefully. Look at what the child in front is doing. How he is observing and comparing and finding similarity and difference. So please take his blessings. Bless these people. They are new learners. Please bless them. Okay, good. You're blessed. Please understand, this is the crux of learning. This is the crux of learning. If you understand this is the way that naturally what we learn. You take, for example, first time you ate mango, and then later, after 7 days, you ate another time. There's an immediate recall of this mango and the other mango. But you also see that there was a slight difference, maybe because of ripeness in stages, or maybe it's a different mango. But yet you realize that this is similar, yet it is not similar. It's same. This is precisely what we do through all our experiences. All experiences are compared and understood. It's natural to us. Please don't turn it into an educational program. This is what nature does. This is what we does without turning it into another Montessori method. There's no method. So what children learn is the real world. And nature also has given them exactly a very clear way in which how to learn the real world. So one very important thing you must understand is that nature has not simplified the content for the child, unlike us. A child encounters the complex world as it is, whether it is language or the real world, and simplifies it as per the nature's design. Child is not doing on their own ego. Child is doing it in the context of where the child is and learning as per nature's design. So the real world is what they learn. and they learn the objects, processes, household, nature, all those things. Everything that they encounter, they pick up and they try to make sense. So one of the first thing a child learns is to be a mother. But this is the most intimate experiences of a child is with the mother. So the first phase itself, the child imbibes how to be the mother, because that is what it absorbs first. And this is also important for the survival of the species. The child must learn to be a mother. That's the first thing. To what I mean to nurture, And after all, mother is more important than father in the child's life. This has to be understood, because many of these modern notions are, misunderstanding many of these simple things, because the mother is far more, sensory, far more rooted, far more caring. That is the way their body, their system is made of. And so look at that child who has learned to be a teacher. Look at the body. You see? But this is what we imbibe. And what of the world are the child learning? So I will show you the structure of it. So the child learn form, function, process, material, structure, relationship, and context. This is what these are various attributes of the world, of the objects, of the phenomena. And how children learn is they learn, experience the whole, they encounter the whole, explore the parts, and natural synthesis happens. Form. The house I told you about. Now, now these days children make multi-story buildings. In our times, we only made single story. The more books, the more how flats. Function is how children turn function. See, the function of a house is the contained space. So they created a contained space, and that becomes the exploration of function. Social, of course, you must have played this also, no? Some doctor and marriage and all kinds of activities. Process is process of making house. Structure is how they build it. And material is, of course, this, I'm sure I just told you that. No? All materials will be explored in this process. And these are done together, meaning it need not be a linear kind of thing. Here the child has explored the form, not the form, but the process, function, structure, all this explored here. And language is the name given to our experience. In that sense, experience is verb and language is noun. At a very core fundamental level, we can see like this. And our language is rooted in our experience. You cannot separate this. What modernity does is to separate these two. Creation of language, again, children are doing it by integrating word and the world, and sounds and gestures are used for this. And when a child learns to speak naturally, they are actually learning to articulate their understanding of the world, their experiences of the world. Their language cannot be separated from experience they are having of the world. And the experience of the world integrates language, or languages used to articulate. On forcing language onto children, their understanding of the real world gets distorted. This is the last line is what is happening in the modern context, because we are directly giving children information. The context is out. So what happens is that adults provide the word, children hear the sound. So your word is a sensory experience for the child. Please understand this. When you provide a word, for a child, it is sensory experience, it's a sound. And meaning gets created only in experience. So, pa is water for a child. But on seeing the sea for the first time, got fascinated. And what the child said is, pa boo. Throwing both his hands out. The hands also expressed. Extended hands. Pa boo. So you see, this is a full sentence. Pa is the water. Boo is the largeness, the sound of the sea, the waves. And the extended hands showed the largeness of the water. You see? So he articulated the whole sentence through the simple activity, action. Pa is water. Boo is the sound of the waves. So, creation of category. Once this child saw a peacock flying, but the child called it kaka, meaning crow, because her first category was crow. All flying ones are crow for a child. Then the child walked. When it got down and started walking, the child told it is kuta. So the same thing was called a crow when it was flying, and is called a dog when it is walking. Because the categories of the child, the initial categories are like that. All flying ones are kaka, and all walking ones are kuta, dog. Here, the child is developing a form. You know how formal adjectives get formed. Cats are Mimi, dogs are Cuckoo. Tiger became Bada Mimi. You know, and dog, there was a confusion because it was not clear whether it is a dog or which adjective use. Because the face is more like a cat and the body is more like a dog. So the child was using both these adjectives, Bada Cuckoo and Bada Mimi. And so children use all these aspects, you know, for creating categories. So this category creation is another very important activity the child does naturally to abstract and organize information. Now, other very important thing, you must have heard of this word called metaphors. Again, metaphor is understood within the realm of language. This is basically what children are, even in experiential level, they are comparing and creating metaphors in experience actually. So this is a formal relationship that the child is making. This is a laptop. So here, this is father and mother, and now they are lying down. So as I told you, I was telling you about the cognitive foundation, inherent qualities and abilities. This is what the child is born with. Sensory inputs, word as sound. Connect sensory input with words. Imagination. So this is what happens, no? That common noun gets formed here. Inferential inputs, abstraction, conceptual understanding. But in our case, there is no conceptual understanding. We have only mental understanding. This is different from conceptual understanding. So beginning of distortion is when adults provide meaning, removing body and experience from the process. Conceptual language is input. Mind creates linguistic world and distorts experience. So knowledge creation is nothing but making what is implicitly known explicit. Do you think you know about the body knows about gravity before Newton told? Your body knows, not your mind doesn't know. Your body knows it. All science is within our body, within our experience. What is required is and everybody need not get into this. This is also another thing to understand. A metacognitive awareness by learning, by paying attention to how we speak and recognizing pattern. The same thing that the child was doing earlier, looking at the way looking similarity and differences. Right? So I think I will, I think this is an important thing that you should understand. So now what is happening in the paradox of modernity? This is a very important thing to understand. In modernity, the education has been that we give linguistic inputs. Of course, we tag it with names, physics, chemistry, and all that. But everything is words only, inputs, and then we measure the outputs. And we segregate them and send them into higher education, based on how to teach. So now they are now getting artificial intelligence into education. The story doesn't change, just that the teacher becomes assistant of the digital. That's all. Read-made input remains, digital inputs, digital data, that's only difference. AI-assisted classrooms where the teacher's job is to assist the AI. Usually that's the way, not the other way around, because the AI is the one who will have all the information. Teacher's job is more like a peon's job. Top-down approach, more alienation from real processes, real life processes. It's a continuation of how to teach children. I will tell you a parallel story. of the development of artificial intelligence itself. So the initial thing was they were teaching machines exactly the way how they were teaching children what to do, teaching machines what to do, the way we teach children what to do. And of course, they will also respond exactly in the same manner. But now what we want is we want machines that are intelligent, that can learn on their own. Our concern is only with machines. So the paradox of modernity is that artificial intelligence is being developed by learning how children learn and then used to dumb children down. I will tell you the development of, there is a research happening in children today in the West by all these places, MIT, Harvard, all these places. But in order to develop artificial intelligence so that you can continue to dumb children down, that's the paradox of modernity. Now, you won't be able to hear now. Let me share the sound. You must really listen to what this man has to say.
One can look at the story of computer science and think we have at least 3 ages. One is the age of programmers. In the age of programmers, you have to pay very smart people quite a lot of money to make some system behave in an intelligent way. We are now in the age of labelers, in which you pay a lot of people not much money in order to label data. And both of them, especially this one is n going to infinity, number of labeled data going to infinity. But of course, children don't have big data. We really would like to be able to show one car and one plane to a child, like we do for a child, and then they're able immediately to generalize very well. So our ideal is n going to 1, and to have computers that learn like children from experience.
You got it? Computers that can learn like children from experience. If you look at the whole educational paradigm, it is based on how to teach. All the research that has happened till date is for establishing schools where teaching is the framework. But now they are making artificial intelligence based on how children learn and create knowledge of the real world. So now we have a choice whether we should learn from AI how to teach, or we should learn from children how to learn. So let me also tell that this. I'm also seeking collaboration from any one of you who might later deeply get interested in this whole idea, wanting to understand what is knowledge, how is it created, and things like that. So anyway, because my work is almost like a one-man army kind of work, where the deeper research is done in a so I'll end with this. Inherent within the tiny banyan seed is its potential to bloom to its immensity. There is no input that it requires to bloom to its full potential. Only existential conditions: freedom to be, trust in life, unconditional love. This is precisely what a child requires.
Thank you very much, Professor Sinan. And also, I think we have maybe 15 minutes more left.
Yeah, we have about 15 minutes, but I need 5 minutes. And so if you have any burning question, you could ask us. Before we close, there must be a lot of questions. And as Jiren says, we have to be we have to remain with these questions and discomfort and unanswered things. That's fine. I mean, just being uneasy with this, what we have is fine. I think we need to be that time to process, time to think about it, time to experience it, as he suggests. So any questions you have? We can probably entertain 2 questions. I mean, to just keep the time and close by 12. Yes,
Yeah.
Marin.
Hello. First and foremost, thank you, Professor Jinan, for your insights and for personally, I'm very conflicted and also enlightened, and I feel pain also from hearing many things from you, because I've been in school since I was 6 years old up to now, since that is my work. But what I would like to ask you from your experience being with children is, are you promoting the taking away of schools, or stopping schools, or is there something that we need to restructure and to reimagine with how we run schools or how we facilitate things in school? So yeah, that's my question.
Long-term and short-term solutions is what I think about. In the long term can be as soon as possible. As soon as possible, there should not be any schools till 12 years for children, as soon as possible. But in the meanwhile, we can try and do less damage to schools. Schools, as I told you, is existentially damaging for life. The existence of school damages because we are learning right from the time we are born. We are getting confused that learning means going to school and learn, which means we are denying what we are already born with. That's an existential damage to a child. So I think, we have to completely restructure everything by truly understanding what it means to live, what is learning. Today, what is happening is that all repair work is being undertaken by people who have not done any proper study on. They are responding to a problem. They're not trying to understand what is the cause. This is typical of modernity. Like if you look at modern allopathy, what is it doing? Any symptom it is solving, but then something else is happening. But traditional medicinal system was addressing the whole being, addressing the root cause. But modernity is not prepared or not equipped to understand the root cause. This is their problem. So unless, I think all this reimagination can only begin provided we understand why do we learn at all. Then all these questions about curiosity, all that will drive away, because all these are all the concerns of modernity is because you have established a wrong system. So you shouldn't be actually responding to this wrong concerns, because then you're creating more problem. So I think first and foremost job is to truly understand what is the nature of learning. Why do we learn? How do we learn? How biology has equipped us to learn? What is creativity? So all this needs to be redefined before we even try to attempt any repair work. Yeah.
One more question.
Yes, I have a question. Actually, also I was about to ask the same question with Sister Marni. Yeah. So in relation to that, Professor, do you think that we should expand more on vocational education, but flavor it with the kind of natural pedagogy that you are promoting? And the other question is about the legacies of colonial thought. Like if I would
okay, I got it. Let Eric also. I want to hear Eric's question. Eric, can you give me the question? Answer is not important. I want the questions.
Eric? Yeah, actually, I was just to. Oh, yes, Eric. Please. Okay, so
yeah, Eric.
Okay, so my concept was about the. Do you think that the environment that surrounds us, and the lack of courage to questioning whatever that is being fed us and given to us, has also contributed into this modern system of just following things blindly, if I may call, without questioning, because all of us from the childhood, we are all born when we want to compare it in terms of sins in the world. We are all born sinless, but we are being exposed to different things as per the environment that we surround us. Talking of environment is seeing how our parents are behaving towards other people, what we are being like, seeing everyday activities within what surrounds us. Do you think that also contributes to these modern implications of our life?
Basically, not what I thought was that I will not be answering any more questions. I was more interested in if there are questions, let the questions come out and let me keep quiet. And whenever Nat wants to talk, let him, because these questions can't be answered like this, these are to be held. And, so it's important that we raise the questions and leave it there. Don't resolve it.
Okay, just if there is, okay, you can ask one more question. And then, we may be able to get back Jinan at another time when you have gone through the other sessions and you have some things to actually share with him, as a learner. Okay. Yeah, one more question.
Yeah. Anybody? Okay.
GMF, well, it doesn't really matter anything in this discussion that you're a GMF fellow, but come on, you're growing up the spirit behind this whole experience and learning process, this learning encounter.
Can I ask?
Yeah, Amelia.
Okay, I don't think it's just a real question, but I'm curious that when we talk about experiential learning, that Prof. Jinan talk about exposure and the child needs to be exposed and experience the things like we play and we live with that. And then I was thinking about structured learning. So whereby when we talk about Montessori as well, so the child is being exposed by the real life learning experience, and then would that be a structured learning, as it could be very random to everyone? So how do we connect everyone? In Malaysia, that we might have a different exposure of life, and then in India we might have a different way of the child is being raised. So it could be very random, or we can actually structure it or get it fixed or something like that. I just want
I think we must differentiate between, do you want life to structure it, or some silly egoistic person to structure your life? This is the question. Should we allow nature and life to structure us? Well, that is already life is given to us. That we want to deny that and then give that responsibility to some silly government or some authority that they will structure us. This is the question that we must ask. Every child is born with that intent of nature, of life. In order to even to sustain life, please understand this, sustaining life is the very nature of life. It's not something that you and me have to think about. If life is there, then life wants to exist. Of course, it wants to die also. But there is an internal system already designed by life to be alive, to sustain life. So what is happening is that we have completely misunderstood our role as silly little fellow beings and the role of life, role of nature. We think we can control it and take it over. This is where the problem arises, actually. So I think, okay, yeah, I'm done.